Good day, you are welcome to today's lesson. In this lesson, we'll be talking about class selectors. I am Asante Patrick Romodo and I'll be your facilitator for this lesson. Let's begin. So, we'll be talking about class selectors. Class selectors. Okay, that's fine. Let's begin. So, what is a class selector? As I said in our previous video, how many people are there in your class? You are not just one person, right? You are more than one person. It is the same when it comes to this CSS that we'll be talking of. When you talk of class, it means two or more people can have the same class. Even if you are not a student, you are in a social class and you don't belong to that class alone. You are there with other people. So class is also the same way here. What it means is that more than one HTML element can be assigned the same class. It can be assigned the same class. And when we assign the class, you would be able to access the class and through that apply certain changes to the elements content, the elements content. Okay, so as we do always, we'll begin with our HTML document. So now we are inside of our HTML document. HTML. Let's say in HTML document, I would like to teach how to apply a class to your document. First of all, the class is taken as an attribute, and you know that any attribute that we pass to an element is contained in its opening tag. Okay, so for instance, let's say I have my h1 element. If I would want to pass an attribute to this element, it will have to be in this same tag. You get it? So between the element's name and the attribute, there should be a space, a white space. Okay, so I will just write class. In this case, class is seen as what? An attribute. Then I will assign it a value. The value goes inside of what? Quotation marks. It goes inside of a quotation mark. So let's say I assign it the value row. Let me clean this guy. Maybe I assign it the value row. After that, I will have to close my elements. That's the opening tag. Okay, when I come here, okay, let's continue. When I come here, no, okay, then I'll come here because of space. That's why I'll come here and close my h1 element. Okay, so that's it. This is how we apply a class to an element. Let's say I come to my h2 element. I'll have class. I can choose to assign it the same row or the same value that I have assigned here, or I will give it a different value. But let's use the same row for an explanation here. Okay, the same row for an explanation here. Then I will close it. Then h2, let me not forget this guy, h2. Okay, I hope we are clear. Then we'll create another class. In this case, we are creating it to our paragraph element. Our paragraph element. I'll create a class and I'll call this class maybe prof. I'm playing this guy. Prof. Then row. Okay. So then I'll close it over here. Come back. Then I'll close my paragraph element. Okay, that's fine. So we have these. We'll learn how to use these classes that we've created inside of our HTML document. Let's go down here. So now we are inside of what? Our CSS. Let's learn how to access these classes. A class is accessed with a full stop following the name of the class. Sorry, if I want to access the class row, I will have to bring a full stop before the name or the value that I assigned to the class. In this case, it will be the class name. So a full stop, then row, then I'll open and close and pass my declaration. Okay. If I want to access prof, I will need a full stop. Let me deepen it. Full stop, then prof, then open and close, then my declaration. I hope you are getting it. But let me explain something here. You see, we have row here, and in our previous listing, we had row for H2, H1, and we also have prof row in our paragraph element. Let me bring it here so that you see what I'm talking of. This is our H1 element. We had row assigned to H1 as our class. Then when we come to H2, we have row also assigned to H2 as our class. When you come to paragraph element, we have prof row assigned to our paragraph element. Now let's go back to our CSS. We are now inside of our CSS. Done also. Inside of our CSS, we have called the class row and we've passed a declaration. You should know that whatever we pass to this row selector will be applied to all the three elements. That's the H1 element, the H2 element, and our paragraph element. Okay, whatever we pass to prof will be applied to only the paragraph element. Don't forget, it was the paragraph element alone that was having this class prof. You get it? So how do you avoid, maybe I want to pass a declaration here to only H1 element, okay? But don't you forget, the H1 element also contains the same class as our H2 element as well as our H3 element. So how do I avoid the declaration I pass here to be passed on to H1, H2, and our paragraph element? In that case, I will have to bring the class, the name of the element first, then I'll bring my full stop, then its name, the name of the class. Okay, then I'll pass my declaration or whatever I want to pass. I hope you are getting it. So if I bring H1 dot row, then it means that whatever I'm passing here, whatever declaration I'm passing here, will be applied to only H1. Okay, if I want to pass it to, let's say, my H2, I'll have to bring H2 dot row, then I will pass my declaration over here. You get it? It means that whatever will be my declaration here will be applied to only my H2 element, even though it has the same class as what, as our H1 element. I hope you are getting it. Okay, so that's one way of doing this. Now you see that in our paragraph element, let's go back so that you see it well. In our paragraph element, where are you, Jack? In our paragraph element, we give it two values. We have prof and row, and they are separated by what? A white space or a space. For a better understanding, they are separated by what? A space. Why did I do this? Okay, sometimes you would like your element to have maybe certain properties depending on its state that it might be in. For instance, I am prof row. You get it? Okay, I'm prof row. Let's say I want to access a document in the name of a professor who is also part of an institution, or let's say is a lecturer. You get it? It's a lecturer. In that case, I can say that maybe p dot let me clean the dot prof, then I would assign what? The declaration accordingly. I will assign the declaration accordingly. Or I can say p dot row, then I will assign the declaration accordingly. Okay, I will assign the declaration accordingly. What does this mean? It means that if prof is accessing this HTML document that we are having, then the declaration pass here will be displayed for our paragraph what element. If row is accessing the HTML document, then this declaration will be visible to row. You get it? It will be visible to row. So it means that even though we have the same paragraph element, we are able to apply what? Different declarations to the same paragraph element depending on its class, which is very, very important, depending on the class. So in this case, the paragraph element is having a different style when the user is prof, and is also having a different style when the user is what? Row. I hope it is clear. Okay, so that's what I would want to emphasize in this lesson. This brings us to the end of this lesson. Thank you. Have a good day.